Hello and welcome to week 5, Soothe Rage and Irritability. So what does it feel like? It feels like a surge of anger and irritability that's hard to control. And sometimes it feels disproportionate to the situation. But I think it's also a time for us to reflect. In our Western society, anger is not a socially acceptable emotion. But there are things about it that can be signs that perhaps there might be a root cause that we're not. Perhaps we've taken on all the roles in the house and it's starting to feel overwhelming. And perhaps it is a time to make a change or at least communicate how we're feeling. So today we're going to be looking at techniques that can help us both loosen up our jaw and release that tension when you're feeling so annoyed and might sort of free up some communication. We're also going to look at a little bit of a hip opener to sort of release stored emotions and then take a couple of restorative poses which can feel both releasing, opening and soothing. So let's experiment today and see what works for us. We'll begin with some jaw exercises. Before we begin though, I'll let you know the props we'll be needing, so you can just pause the video and go and grab whatever you'll need. So either cork ball or tennis ball or any type of ball you've got around the house, a yoga block or a thick book, a couple of blankets, and looking for some large firm pillows. I'm going to be raiding the couch and taking some pillows from the couch, or you might be able to stack together some pillows from your bed. So I'll give you a moment to pause the video if you'd like to grab anything you need, maybe some socks, maybe an eye pillow, and just making sure that you're set up in a place in the house where you're going to be able to feel like you can relax, have some privacy. We're going to begin with some jaw exercises, and the first one, you can either use a tennis ball or a cork ball, and you're just going to start to work a ball around your jaw, and you might just want to keep your mouth shut to begin with, or you might add onto the massage by starting to open your mouth. Just start to feel up and down the sides of your jaw. Of course, if it's tender, maybe you want to be gently starting to feel around here. Just noticing, take it to the other side, and perhaps you're starting to notice how much tension and funny noises. If you're like me, you've got all types of noises that happen when you open your jaw, but just coming back and forth. And notice if we're tensing into this, can we start to relax? And it's the kind of thing where you want your face to look really loose. It's not the kind of face that you wear around the shops. It's the kind of face where you just let your face go. And just starting to contemplate maybe if you could communicate some of your irritations with this more loose jaw. What might you say? You might be shifting. One option to try here is to take a book, and laying down, you're going to bring it up to you. You might like to try that laying down. You can bring a pillow underneath and just bring a book and a ball on top. Start to rotate your jaw around, up and down. Intuitively, you'll probably know exactly where you want to go here. Maybe opening your mouth and having that loose face. Let's try the other side. Notice if there's any bits here that are particularly tight. Just start to massage. Let's just stay here for 2 more rounds of breath. If you started to lay down, then just slowly coming to a seat. The next one is called jaw gurning. And you open the mouth and just start to rotate the jaw. Doesn't have to be really big movements. We might not have that mobility in our jaw. No, I certainly don't, but just kind of look like a cow chewing. And maybe because we've done the use of the ball around our jaw, it might be feeling a little bit looser. Maybe a yawn comes, which is a natural response when we're doing this jaw gurning. And that's good also because that releases stress in the yawn. Notice how those jaw exercises made you feel. Maybe they've made you feel more irritable, or maybe they've released a little bit of tension, which we hold when we feel irritation and rage. Next, we're going to try a few breathing techniques. The first one's called hissing breath, and you'll take your tongue and it will press the back of your teeth and make a sound. So it's a breath in through the nostrils, and then your teeth are together, their tongue is at the back, and you make a breathing in. Some of us might feel sensitivity around our teeth when we're doing this, so you could try that without bringing your tongue there, like a hiss of a snake. That's a sound that we're looking for and releasing. Let's do a few more rounds. One more. You'll notice that there is a hissing sound, and it reminds me of a boiling pot. You've taken the lid off and the tension is being released, bubbling up and evaporating. So again, that's one that you can practice and see if that makes any difference to your mood, if you're feeling that grrr, that annoyance that rises up in us. Next, we will be looking at Satali breath, which is a cooling breath. It involves the curling of our tongue. And I know that genetically, not all of us can curl our tongue. So if you can't, you can just purse your lips like a straw. So we breathe in through the nose and then breathing out down through either our pursed lips or the curled tongue. So breathing in. One more time. And you'll notice this has more of a cooling effect as well. So this is a good one if you're feeling heated, hot flushes coming on, because it has that cooling effect down the tongue. That long exhale helps to calm our nervous system. These are a few breath exercises to try. There's one last one, which is called lion's breath, and be prepared to feel a little bit silly. We can start on our knees, or you can be sitting whichever way that's comfortable for you, and just start to bring your hands out to your knees and create some space in our back here. Now, lion's breath, it involves a breath in through both nostrils, and then as we breathe out, we're going to make a ha sound. Partnered with that, we're going to drop our tongue and our jaw out. And if you'd like, you can look up between your eyebrows into the center of your forehead. Just breathing in. I'll just demonstrate a few times. You can join in when you're ready. So starting to breathe in. If you'd like to, we can release some heat around the groin and the hips and come to a wide knee stance. Bring your hands in front and then your fingertips towards you. This is the full expression of the pose. If you're tight today, stay on your knees or in a seat. Let's do this for 5 more rounds. Breathing in. Did it release any tension? Did it make you feel a bit silly? So next we're going to take a yoga pose called lizard. This is one that stretches out the hips. You might have noticed that when you're doing warm-ups and stretches in the gym or in yoga, that particularly work on the hips, you feel agitated. It might be because this is releasing irritability. So let's give it a go. I recommend having a blanket underneath your knees to support you. We'll come into a tabletop position. Start to bring your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Perhaps you can start to bring your hand on the inner part of your knee and have a gentle stretch. I'm coming onto the outer edge of my foot. That's feeling like it's giving me a little bit more of a stretch. And this might be just where you stay if you're feeling particularly tight in the hips today. You can start to rock from side to side or take some circles. Just play around with what feels good. We'll be here for a few rounds of breath. Try and explore how you can release some tension here. Perhaps you can start to bring yourself down onto the ground. Perhaps you could bring a pillow in front and bring yourself a little bit closer to the ground here, and at the same time still pushing this outer part of your knee out. You might like to tuck your back toe, lift the knee off and circle your hips. So just playing around with all these different options and seeing what feels most opening for your hips. Let's take one more breath in and out and take that to the other side. If you had that back knee up, bring that down and slowly walk that front leg back. You might like to take some cat-cows or some hip circles. Roll your hips to the other side. And now let's take that to the other leg. Just lift it to the front on the outer part of your hand. And again, you'll be starting to move that knee gently. You might start to move from side to side, noticing what feels good. Perhaps you'd like to bring yourself down. Maybe you're lifting that back knee off the ground. Just doing what feels good. There's no right or wrong here on how far you take it. It's about giving yourself this opportunity to open. Perhaps just staying stationary and bringing your hand on the inside of your knee. Let's bring both hands down now. Bring that front foot back to come to kneel. And we'll prepare for the restorative part of the class. So we'll be continuing with this hip opening theme with our next restorative pose, which is a side lying posture. Take 2 or 3 pillows and have them beside your hip. I'm using a rather large couch pillow here and another one for height. You might have to sit up and see that we've got enough height, but let's experiment as we go. Snug your pillows up towards your hips, and your legs will start to lengthen your legs. And as you're hugging the cushions into you, you'll start to lay over, outstretching your bottom hand. And just notice here, see if you can bring one foot in front of the other and your head onto your bicep. Notice if your shoulder is off the ground and your hips are off the ground. That our shoulders and our hips are both onto your pillows. The top of your thigh might be coming to the ground. You might need more height on your pillow if your hips or your shoulders are touching the ground. So just have a little bit of a fuss around and then come into that position again, snugging yourself in. And when you're ready, you can start to bring your top hand to meet the bottom hand. And just notice if you're holding any tension here. Perhaps you can loosen your feet and let the tension drop in your legs. Know that you're supported by the pillows and start to really soften. Maybe softening around the jaw again. Oh, maybe taking a yawn if that comes. And starting to feel tension drop from your bottom hip and maybe opening up this top part of your body, all up the left side of your body. We could think of ourselves like a campfire that's been raging, frustrated, irritated. And perhaps now some of the fire has been put out. We never want our fire to get put out, but maybe cooling down the anger at times. You can perhaps start to feel a cooling of small flames rather than raging flames. This is releasing heat on this side of the body. Let's take 3 breaths here in silence. And then as you're ready, you can start to bring yourself up, just gently bringing your top hand down to the ground and perhaps bending your knees back in. Slowly, slowly coming up. Now you might prefer to stay in this pose for longer when you're practicing. If you like to practice this again, we'll even things up and take this to the other side. You can flip your hips around, but just so we can see, I'm just swapping my pillows around. We're coming up to kneel with our hips tucked and the pillows snugged into our hips, starting to straighten our legs out and curling and pulling the pillows in, moving one foot out and bringing that top hand over and feeling this stretch along the body. Noticing any sensations that are coming up and how they can subside. This is a moment to be opening the jaw, maybe trying to let another yawn out. Having a scan of the legs and seeing if we're starting to hold any tension unintentionally. And seeing if we can soften into the props, our pillows, the ground. What can you release right now? Can you let go a little bit more? Perhaps closing down the eyes and staying here for 3 more rounds of breath. Noticing that you can feel the breath in the top of your ribs, the back of your body. See if we can feel like irritability is just steaming off us. And then when you're ready, you can start to bring yourself up. Slowly, slowly. The next pose we'll take is supported butterfly. What you'll need is a couple of pillows that you can use as a stack and one large pillow or a couple of pillows from your bed to be able to use as a ramp. Take a blanket to have handy and we'll have it rolled out lengthways. You might also need to have another blanket that can help to support underneath your back or on the ground here. So just take some time to get the blankets that you need to have around you. Perhaps you want to have an eye mask as well. When you're ready, you'll come to bring your bottom to the edge of your large cushions, and there will be an option for you to bring the soles of your feet together and have your knees spread out. If you're in the tight hips club today and that's feeling really quite intense, then you can bring your legs out straight, and perhaps I'm just needing one pillow underneath, and that might feel really lovely for you. If you'd like to take the butterfly pose, you can bring the soles of your feet together, and perhaps you're bringing pillows underneath just to let your legs just lean into them. That might feel rather nice. And then you can bring your wrists on top. It's nice to bring this part of your wrist onto the pillows. Lastly, this extra long blanket will give you an extra sense of tucking in if you start to roll it around. So find yourself in the comfiest position. You might also like to bring something beneath your bottom and lower back. And perhaps last option would be to have some type of a blanket underneath your neck. This is a really soft cushion here, so my head is just melting into the pillow. Take some time to fuss around and find your most comfortable position here. Perhaps you're already there and you're starting to close down your eyes. Again, we're opening up the hips here, letting out some emotional baggage, irritability perhaps. If at any stage you do feel that it is a bit tight, then just come straighten your legs. Start to come into your breath here. Notice we're a little bit more open-hearted with our chest, and you can really feel the breath coming up around the chest in your heart space. Enjoy some expansive, deep breaths here. Notice if you can relax any more into your pillows and the blankets. Starting to release some tension around your forehead. Can you make your forehead feel more spacious? Can you feel the tension melting away from your cheeks? And can you feel the roof of your mouth rise while your bottom row of teeth drop a little? You feel as though you're taking off a heavy backpack from your shoulders. And a spacious breath occurring around the heart. Moving into a more contemplative part of our practice. Can you think of times where you have felt particularly irritated, or there is a pattern of feeling angry and agitated. And we know that sometimes these things just happen. We're all human. We also know that perhaps there's something behind this moment of anger and frustration. Is there anything that you can do to change it? Is there anything you can do to communicate it? If it's said with kindness, perhaps there is something that can be said rather than saying yes, 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 and just doing. You could say no. It's one small step towards removing a point of anger or irritation in your life right now that you could take. Please feel free to stay exactly as you are. If you would like to complete the practice today, and slowly, ever so slowly, start to take your hands to the outer edges of your thighs and bring your knees together. You might like to remove any props that are in your way and just move your knees from side to side, windscreen wiping your knees. Or perhaps you feel like just starting to straighten your leg. If you had pillows underneath your knees, you might be hugging your knees in and just staying here for a few moments before you start to move. When you're ready, you can slowly bring yourself up. Sometimes you can stay up just a little bit and then move all the way up. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you have found some of these practices helpful to remove some irritation and those times of rage. And I hope to see you again soon.